often I will start a coaching conversation, and this may be a senior executive in a company or a CEO of a company, and I will simply say, how are you? What's up? What's top of mind? And what I will often get is a download of 5 or 7 or 10 or 15 minutes of all that's going on in that person's life, he or she. And I've practiced for 30 years how to listen to that in a constructive way. So the first is I'm in listening level 4. I'm there without an agenda, with no judgment, just appreciating the complexity of what's on that person's plate. It is extraordinary what people in the world need to cope with today, especially when you have large responsibilities and you are leading large organizations. Not that leading a family with 2 or 3 children or 2 or 3 pets is not a compound, complex assignment. It is. It's just very prevalent and very obvious when you get to deal with people that carry large organizational responsibilities. So I listen, and sometime at the end of those 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, I'll say, all right, so what I've heard is I've heard you now describe issues in 4 buckets. That's me creating a loom. That's a loom work application. There is one bucket which is strategic, and then I will delineate that within the strategic bucket, there are 2 key points that are on the table at the moment. One is to do with the long-term strategy, and one is specifically a product strategic choice that you and your team need to make. So that's bucket 1 with 2 issues in bucket 1. Then I'd say there is an operational bucket. You're dealing with 3 crisis points, 2 of which relates to supply chains and shortages, and 1 of which relates to how there was an organizational change in one of the other teams you are counting on, and because of that, that creates an operational bottleneck. So I'm literally mapping and creating a loom back to the person. And then I'd say, and there is a 3rd bucket, which is your leadership team. And there are 2 primary issues on your table today relating to 2 people on your leadership team, and the stress and the difficulties and the struggles that they represent. One of which is on a progressive, positive, regenerative trajectory. Another one of which is a challenging dilemma you have, and you're needing to make up your mind whether you're going to make an organizational change or not. And then I say, and there is a 4th bucket, which is your own life, your own energy, your own set of pressures, and how do you manage your stresses and your psychological space with all that's on your plate with your family and so on. And I'll mention 2 or 3 things that were mentioned there. So I listened to a person 12, 15 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes, and I gave them back a clarifying loom of their life. I could end the coaching conversation there, and they received often they tell me they received profound value because they got themselves, instead of inside a chaos of confusion and pressure, in a clarifying way. I then often proceed to say, so do the Richter scale energy test. Which bucket should we spend the time we have, and where should we begin? Should we begin with the strategic, with the operational, with the leadership team, or with the personal? And I'd ask them for the guidance And sometimes I know by the energy and the passion that they expressed where we need to go. So that's a way of me applying Loom listening level 5 as a coaching modality to help accelerate the conversation. Along with our website at portalsofperception.org, Portals is also available on YouTube and on all podcast platforms, as well as social media. You can become an active member and join the conversation in community events. And you can help us get the word out by liking this content and by sharing it with your friends.